Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all. Myself, Vaibhav. In today's session of Market Movers, we will be taking a look on the equity segment of the financial markets, in which we will cover the Nasdaq. We are seeing excellent rebound from the lows. Almost 7 to 8 percentage gains have been seen in last two trading sessions. Even in today's session, we saw substantial move on the higher side once we got the retail sales data for the United States, which has shown a phenomenal jump compared to the numbers for the April. Earlier in the day, we also got the data for the euro area, and here the notable increase has been observed in the ZEW Economic Sentiment Index for the euro area as well as Germany. The German index has actually shown a record jump, and now it is almost above 63. And for the euro area, the index has shown significant turnaround as well, and it has rebounded to 58 from sub 50 levels in the prior month of April. So it shows that as the economies are opening up, we are seeing some rebound in the economic activity, and that has also helped the revival of the sentiments. And Germany has been a particularly well performing country in the euro area, and that is also visible in the reading which we have got for the ZEW Economic Sentiment Index. Coming to the United States, we got these retail sales numbers. If we see the figure, this record jump of 17.7%. It is actually month on month, and that means the retail sales observed compared to the month of April have shown this record jump. This is all-time high, and that is of course on back of revival of economic activity after almost a whole month of lockdown in the month of April. But still, if we compare the same figure in terms of year on year compared to the month of May of 2019, we are still seeing decline, and the sales are below 6% compared to the same levels compared to the levels of last year. So we will need to see the data coming in for next couple of months, and it is of course going to take time, and unless and until there is some medical cure, we are not really likely to see the resumption of day-to-day life as it was in last year till the pandemic struck. So we have some difficult months ahead, but still the scenario is looking better compared to what it was just 2 months back. In another major development, the Federal Reserve Chairperson, Mr. Jerome Powell, is now testifying before the US Senate Banking Committee, and most of the testimonies, you can say, the reference material or what Mr. Powell is going to touch upon has already been released on the Federal Reserve site, so you can go through the release as well. I have personally read all the material, and Mr. Powell is likely to give the details of the measures taken by the Federal Reserve as well as the government, the federal government of United States, and he is going to touch upon the policy measures, the tools which are at the Fed's disposal to act further if the conditions demand. But so far, the response has been good enough, and we are already seeing the impact of those measures taken by the Federal Reserve in financial segment and also in the economy. The revival is happening at least to some extent. Now let's shift our attention to the technical segment. Here we will cover the Nasdaq and the dollar index. Let's start with the dollar index technical outlook first. This is the turnaround in the Nasdaq which we are observing after the levels close to 9,400 were touched. We had this 23.6% Fibonacci retracement of its rally starting from 6,600 to almost 10,200, and then we saw this sharp move on the downside, but now those losses have been reversed, and starting from yesterday's lows, we are actually around 6 percentage point higher, and the gains are still continuing. And I think we are likely to see a strong close for today's session, and maybe the possibility is there that by the end of the week we will most probably see a fresh all-time high being established in the Nasdaq. So this is topsy-turvy momentum being seen in the Nasdaq, and as you can see, the magnitude of these moves is pretty large, but then these are not normal times, and we have kind of gotten used to these volatile moves. And again, after some incremental activity in preceding weeks, we are back to where we were in the start of March when the volatility was pretty high, but the momentum was on the downside. Now there is reversal in the momentum, though the volatility is of similar levels, but the momentum is now on the bullish side, and that is also visible in today's session. If we consider the price action in today's session, I think the price zone around 9,800 is going to be crucial. We have this first resistance of this month's pivot point series, which now stands breached. We had this break above that in the second week of June, and then we saw this sharp fall, and now again the activity, or you can say the buying momentum, has revived, and we are back to pretty these levels which are pretty close to these all-time highs, and we are just like 2% away from all the all-time highs, and as I said, we are seeing strong possibility of those being retested. So our job becomes to pinpoint the opportunities in which we can think about taking some position on the long side, and of course our job is to figure out the optimum conditions so that in case our anticipation turn out to be wrong, we shouldn't be losing too much money, and in case we happen to be right, then of course we should be making money. So here, looking to the current setup, I think we have this support coming into play closer to this immediate prior swing high, which now stands breached, and also we have this confluence of 100 and 200 SMAs around 9,800 zones. So, and here, if we go back in time, we also had this prior swing low on which we saw this consolidation happening in the first week of June. So, this is the zone 9,800, which is can be utilized as our area of interest, and that means we have to bet on the opportunity, or you can say bet on the possibility of some correction happening in the Nasdaq from the current levels. If it doesn't happen, then I think we are not really going to get this opportunity here, as the Nasdaq at the moment is trading almost 2 percentage point higher from our desired area of interest. So because of that, we will need to wait it out and sit on the sidelines till we see some correction, and then consolidation closer to this confluence area. And if that happens, then I think on the lower side, a stop loss closer to 9,600 will be good enough for positioning on the long side. And as I said, on the long side, we can pretty much expect a fresh swing high being established. That means we will be taking a risk of around 200 points for a possible move of 400 points, and that will give us a risk reward ratio of 1 is to 2. So this is the area watch out for, and if we get entry anywhere close to 9,800, then I think that is a opportunity we should be looking at. Now moving on to dollar index. In dollar index also we are again seeing revival after 2 days of corrective moves, and here in today's session we are seeing that dollar index is finding some good buying momentum on the lower side, and after yesterday's fall, because of the buying momentum today, we are seeing revival happening, and this move which started closer to 95.5 is still holding well, and I'm actually looking at the possibility of dollar index moving towards this 97.5 area, which is also closer to the 61.8% Fibonacci expansion of its prior fall from 104 to almost below 99, and that fall did extend towards 100% expansion, the Fibonacci expansion, and from those levels now we have seen again rebound happening. If you consider the 4 hourly chart, here we had this second support of this month pivot point series around 96.3, and now as you can notice the 96.5 area did act as a support, and now we have this fresh buying momentum. And I think if you are willing to take the risk, even the market open position can be opted for. Otherwise we will have to see what will be the area of optimum, you can say, entry, where our risk will be on the lesser side whereas our reward will be higher. And for that we will mostly have to rely on the hourly chart, but here there are couple of factors which are giving me hope of dollar index again moving back towards its immediate swing high around 97.5. As you can see that we had this consolidation and then again move on the upside, and this time around also we are seeing a formation of a higher low. So if this holds well, then we can pretty much expect this swing high to be breached in the next rally if it happens. So betting on that, I think if we were lucky enough to get involved, or if you were present enough to get involved in the earlier hours of today's trading session, then the entry closer to 96.5 was an excellent idea. Even now, suppose if in the latter part of the day, if we get any entry anywhere close to 96.6 to 96.5, that should be lapped up, or even any entry closer to 96.7 is also good enough. And I think any stop loss closer to 96.20 will serve our purpose. If we see a break below that, then I think we will have the loss of momentum. And as we have already seen this consolidation closer to 96.4, so any break below its immediate swing high can also be taken as a lack of confidence on the bull side, and that should be seen as a possible failure of this break on the upside. And then again we will see the probability of dollar index reverting back to its immediate swing lows becomes higher. So any entry closer to this immediate swing high for today's session should be good enough, or even, as I said, one option is to go for a market open, but then that will enlarge your risk. As said, a stop loss will need to be kept closer to 96.2, and of course then that is going to increase the risk. Or in another scenario, you can wait it out till you get any entry point closer to 96.6 or 96.5 for that matter. So that's it from my side for today's session. If any of you have any query or any idea to share, you can write it in the comment section, and I would be more than happy to take the discussion forward. Before I sign off, I would also like to remind of the risk associated with trading in the financial instrument, and one should be careful while utilizing the information provided. Have a fabulous day ahead. See you tomorrow. Goodbye.